The story that you are about to hear is a compilation of documented true facts, featuring characters, events, or places that has played a role in shaping history. Please sit back and listen as I recite this narrative for you. While doing some research online, I wanted to veer off from my usual topic, but I wanted something intriguing. I saw this article that caught my eye, and it's something that may or may not have been discussed during our history lesson, or maybe as usual, I wasn't paying attention. But I sure was fascinated by this article. Known informally as the agency and the company, the Central Intelligence Agency, or the CIA, is a civilian foreign intelligence service of the federal government of the United States. It does not have a law enforcement function and is primarily focused on acquiring foreign intelligence with limited domestic intelligence collection. It is the only agency with legal authority to carry out and oversee covert operations at the President's request. They are also very adept in covert operations, combining psychological, cultural, and political warfare. Quick history review. Following the victory of the Spanish-American War of April to August 1898, the Philippines became a colony of the U.S. after it was relinquished by Spain. During World War II, when the Imperial Japanese Army occupied the islands from 1942 to 1945, the Hukbong Bayan Laban sa Hapon, translated to People's Army Against the Japanese, more popularly known as Hukbalahap, was formed originally to fight the Japanese during their occupation, but ended as an anti-government resistance movement. By late summer 1943, the Hooks claimed to have 15 to 20,000 active men and women military fighters and 50,000 more in reserve. The Hukbalahap and the U.S. forces fought side by side against the Japanese. After the Philippines were liberated by the Americans and Filipino troops, the United States of America began to influence and control the Philippine government once again, and instead of being recognized for their war efforts and be treated as allies, the Hooks were forcibly disarmed and charged with treason, sedition, and subversive activities, leading to the arrests of their leaders and the massacre of 109 Hook guerrillas in Malolos, Bulacan. The Hooks were expelled from the Congress by then-President Manuel Rojas for opposing the controversial Bell Trade Act, which gave the U.S. vast control over Philippine industries and economy. And because of this, the Hooks, who were once veterans of World War II, gained a notorious reputation as rebels. When Rojas died of a heart attack in 1948, Elpidio Quirino became the new president, but was also ineffective in fighting the Hooks, as his administration was marred by corruption and personal scandals. On August 24, 1948, the CIA received a message from Filipino Secretary of Defense Ruperto Cangleon. This message detailed a peace offering from the Hooks to the Filipino government. Their demands included an American expulsion, the cancellation of all base agreements with the United States, and the cancellation of the trade parity. In the absence of a powerful figure in national politics, the CIA stepped in to carry out the dirty deed, and the man in charge on the ground was none other than Edward Lansdale, who also happened to be Ramon Magsaysay's closest confidant, then the Secretary of National Defense, and ultimately became the President of the Philippines. Major General Edward Lansdale was a CIA operative who held a rank in the U.S. Air Force and had been in the Philippines for approximately 2 years prior to the anti-Hook campaign, helping the Philippine Army rebuild its intelligence services and resolve the cases of large numbers of prisoners of war. Lansdale was an early practitioner of psychological warfare, straying away from conventional search and destroy tactics. Lansdale thought of an ingenious strategy, using folklore beliefs as a propaganda weaponry. A rumor was dispersed that Aswangs were loose in the jungle. The belief in Aswangs have been around before even the Spaniards came and colonized the Philippines. The locals feared these beings more than the Spaniards because we are a bunch of mostly superstitious people, a trait that was taken advantage of by the Americans in that period. The plan was simple. The bodies of deceased Hook fighters would be left by the side of the road in a busy area of the province, and those bodies, upon close inspection, would show holes that supposedly resembled Aswang bites. Anyone who saw those wounds were convinced that they were victims of Aswangs. This tactic worked. Reports revealed that the townspeople, who were once either indifferent or sympathetic to the hook cause, were undoubtedly terrified, and this tactic was repeated in the countryside several times. In his memoir, Lansdale recounted how they would kidnap one hook, puncture his neck with 2 holes, hang his body by the heels, drain him of blood, and dump the corpse on a trail that other hooks would pass by. When the hooks discovered their dead comrade, they'd promptly pack up and relocate to a different hill. Another tactic used by Lansdale and his team was the Eye of God, which would be pointed on a wall facing the house of suspected hook sympathizers in the dead of the night. The mysterious presence of these malevolent eyes the next morning had a sharply sobering effect, said Lansdale. The CIA succeeded in its unconventional psychologic Aswang operation, and soon the hooks began to lose support in areas they once held. The psychological warfare was successful. The search and destroy missions of the army continued and intensified until Louis Tarrok and the majority of the hooks laid down their arms in 1954 to accept a pardon. So after that abridged version of the events, I decided to look up some more Aswang-related articles, and the following news are some of what I've found. The links in the description box will show you the original source of the articles. Percival Gabitanan. On Thursday, July 24, 2014, a 70-year-old woman was beheaded by her own son outside their house in Villa Esperanza, Barangay Tangu, Bacolod City, Philippines. Percival Gabitanan, 34 years old, was found sitting outside their house a few feet from her body and has been charged for killing his mother, Eledina. When interviewed, Percival stated that he beheaded his mother because he thought his mother was an Aswang and her looks kept on changing while they were talking. He said he dragged his mother out of their house about 2:45 a.m. and tried to stab her with a bamboo stick. When she moved, he said he hit her with a bamboo pole on the head and body. He then tied her legs and hands before cutting off her head using a bolo. Neighbors heard Eledina calling for help around 3 a.m. that morning, but when the barangay officials went to her house, Eledina's body was found outside the house. Her head was severed with her hands and feet tied with parachute cloth and cellophane. An 8-inch bolo with bloodstains was found in the area. Percival admitted he used drugs but denied he was high on drugs at that time. Inspector Richard Fajarito, Deputy Police Chief of Station 8, said it was possible that Percival was under the influence of drugs when he committed the crime. Christopher Trocio. A man believed to be an Aswang by his neighbor was found dead in Barangay Estefania, Bacolod City on Tuesday night, September 2, 2014. The victim, Leo Degario Gulmatico, 74 years old, died from a broken skull and other injuries sustained on different parts of his body. He was hit by rocks and bamboo sticks by the suspect, Christopher Trocio, 31 years old, who immediately surrendered to the police after the incident. He admitted that he was drunk during the incident and chased the victim to his brother's house where he attacked him. Trocio argued he decided to kill Gulmatico, whom he believes is an Aswang, to spare people from being eaten and killed. He claimed to have had some eerie experiences when he faced the victim. He stated that Gulmatico had allegedly been threatening him for a long time and has even seen the victim shift shape and would just keep on watching him. Trocio was charged with murder on Wednesday, September 3, 2014. Germas Betor. A 24-year-old man killed his mother with a hammer in Tacloban City, believing she was an Aswang or blood-sucking monster on Monday, November 26, 2018. Germas Betor has been arrested on suspicion of murder by the police following the grisly hammer attack after one of his siblings saw his bloody hands, then saw their mother, 59-year-old Delia Ondes Betor's dead body. She had been bludgeoned to death by her own son, Germas. The suspect, who confessed to the crime, stated that he killed his mother because he believed she was an Aswang. According to police, the victim's remains were found to have at least 8 wounds to different parts of her body, suggesting a frenzied attack. They also said that Germas had also killed a neighbor's dog and smashed the window of a nearby junk shop. The dog and the junk shop were both owned by the local barangay chairman. It has not been determined if these were deliberately targeted or just random attacks. The police learned he was sniffing rugby and was under the influence of the solvent at the time of the crime, which likely induced his wild imagination that was the cause for his fatal mistake. Maybe Aswangs are products of an overactive imagination, drug-muddled brain, or a drunk mind. I honestly don't know, but it makes for a fascinating reading. So in conclusion, Aswangs, fictional or real, plays a major role in our cultures as Filipinos, and as we can see, this belief has been used against us or used as an excuse for the unspeakable crimes committed. Hey everyone! I just wanted to express how grateful I am that you took the time to listen to my narration. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I am Twisted Mind and please enjoy the rest of your day. Salamat!